Okay, so thank you everybody for being here this evening. My name is Gina Kirkwood and I am the career advisor for the College of Public Affairs and Community Service, and that does include the BAAS degree. So I have very, very kind BAAS alumni who have joined us this evening so that they can give us some information about the BAAS degree and kind of how the path that they have taken, and hopefully you can come away with something from their own paths as well. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves and they're going to tell you kind of how they came to get the BAAS degree and what they have done with that. And then we're going to talk specifically about what you qualify for with the BAAS degree, what you need to do on your resume in order to make yourself marketable for those positions that you want, and how to talk yourself up and how to talk your degree up in a networking situation or in an interview. So we'll go ahead and introduce our panelists first, and we'll just start from here and go down.
Ladies first.
Ladies first, okay.
Hi, my name is Rachel. That's not a typo. I work here at UNT as an academic advisor for the College of Public Affairs and Community Service. And I was a student here at UNT, got my BAAS degree, because I didn't decide what I wanted to do until my junior year. It was time for me to pick something, and I had several different interests. I was actually a traditional student who was here the entire 4 years, so it's a little unusual for a traditional student to choose the BAAS degree, but at that time there was no integrative studies degree, and this was my backup to that. That was my solution. So my BAAS degree was in human services, behavior analysis, recreation management, and nonprofit management. My interest was in programming for nonprofit organizations, and I got a lot of experience with that in internships, and I was involved in the nonprofit student organization on campus as well, so I had some of that to tie it all together. Did I answer everything?
Yes.
Okay,
Is there
great.
anything, any of the other bullet points?
Let's see.
Or I guess we can.
Well, yeah, I have a couple more things then.
Okay.
I made my degree marketable on my resume by actually coming back to the Career Center after I graduated. I didn't know that you could actually use their services as an alumni, so
You're welcome.
do that. And they were really helpful. I know it can be difficult as a BAAS major to figure out how to put it on a resume. And one suggestion that I ran with was to create my resume in the skills-based format instead of the traditional format that most other students do. And that way I could kind of highlight those concentrations of my BAAS degree. The way I describe BAAS to people who don't know, because it can be kind of confusing when you bring it up in an interview especially. I describe it as kind of like an integrative degree where I get to pick my areas of interest and areas of strength and put them together, and that allows me to be more marketable, basically. I also mention sometimes that this is typically for students who have military background, who are returning to school after quite some time, especially if they've started families or whatever and they're coming back, or just really any non-traditional student. I don't fit that mold, but it certainly helped me out as well. I also want to let people know that the BAAS degree is not inferior to other degrees. As an academic advisor, I talk to students often who have military credits, who have 90 hours and they're trying to figure out what do I need for a criminal justice degree? Well, that would require a lot of hours, and I try and encourage them to use what they have already and change to BAAS. And oftentimes they're resistant to that because they feel like, oh, well, I don't understand what that is. People aren't going to understand that. I'm not going to get hired with this degree, and that's totally not true. It certainly takes more energy and effort on your end in order to learn how to market yourself in this way, but it can certainly, once you do, once you grasp it, it can certainly make you much more hireable than someone else who just has an English degree or something, you know, or just a criminal justice degree, because you can you know, add criminal justice degree and alternative dispute resolution and communication and really highlight those strengths that you have. So that's pretty much it.
My name's Christopher Gay. I graduated in December of 2013 from the BAAS program, and I was a non-traditional student. I came in, I'm a captain at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Been on the job there at DFW for 11 years now. Been a firefighter, career firefighter for over 20. I graduated high school in '95, went straight to the fire academy, went to EMT school, and that's all I needed. I was working down in Marble Falls, in the Marble Falls area, and was just fine with the certifications that I was holding at the time. Got hired at DFW Airport in 2005, and quickly started learning that something was going to have to happen. Right now I'm a master aircraft rescue firefighter, and all my certifications are masters in or the top tier of the certifications. So I had gone from a certification standpoint as far as I could go, and I entered Tarrant County College and graduated from Tarrant County College in December of 2010 with an associate's in fire protection technology, and then decided to carry on since I was in the groove and come up here to UNT. I had researched several schools. One of the benefits as a firefighter in the state of Texas, I'm eligible for free tuition at a state college, so that made it a lot more appealing. So that was great. I came up here with the focus of doing emergency management, administration, and public administration as my minor, and was talked into the BAAS program. And I did have my hesitations because the labeling or the branding per se. Once I got in the program, all the classes were the same. I did have some adjustments trying to deal with and understand traditional students as a non-traditional student. I was doing online distance learning and the traditional brick and mortar. In 2013, I graduated with my degree. From a marketing standpoint on the resume, during the program I got promoted while I was in the program. And from a marketing standpoint, I focus on concentrations. So I have a 20-year background in public safety, so being able to say I have broadened my scope in emergency management and how it works, and how the fire department and our Department of Public Safety supports that emergency management and business continuity standpoint for the overall organization, as well as a little bit of the management from the public admin side. The other benefit that I have through the marketing and setting up the resume and everything was in 2015, December 2015, I graduated from TCU with an MBA. So that was great for me. It's a big family accomplishment. I get really emotional when I talk about it.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
The doors that this program opened up for me are countless. So now I have the ability to do whatever I want within the DFW Airport organization or outside of that organization, because I'm eligible to retire in 14 years, so now I can do whatever I want to do.
That's great.
I have a question in regards to you going to get your MBA. Did you have a hard time meeting the requirements for that, as far as like after you got your BAAS degree, like additional courses that you had to take in order to qualify for the master's program at TCU?
I was actually able to be accepted into the TCU program prior to graduating from here. So the program I went into is a holistic program.
Okay.
And it was the concentrate, it's an MBA, it's actually the executive MBA program. And the focus is strategic leadership in a global business environment. So it's a holistic program designed around leadership. And through what I learned here at UNT and combining it with my experiences over the 20 years, I was able to build a resume and build an interview process that was able to get me in the door for that.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Christopher. Let's meet Jason.
Cool, how y'all doing? I'm Jason Cancino. My title and where I work at is kind of like the BAAS degree. You really don't know what it is until I tell you about it. I'm an eligibility specialist for C2 Global Professional Services, and what that means is I work for the workforce, the Texas workforce. I'm a contractor for them, for the Department of Labor program that they have that helps put people back to work who are unemployed and underemployed. I've been with the Department of Labor throughout since 2009, just going from place to place, working from grants. And that's what I love about what I learned here, because my focus was on nonprofit management, community development, and anthropology. So it was really cool for me to be able to put that together with what I already do in the community. What I like to do is I like to just help people who need help get back to work. So I have been an executive director, I have been a career counselor, I have been a development specialist, I've been a program manager, and my favorite role is just to be an encourager. So I do a lot of public speaking based off of my degree, because it's one of those things that I can let them know, you want someone that's got a little diversity to them talking to people right now, because we have a lot of diversity in the workplace. And so as I talk to employers and as I talk to job seekers, you're not going to have any common line that you're going to touch with every speech you give, but you're going to need someone who can touch every foundation and just kind of build that base for them. And so what I love about what I learned here is it taught me a way to make a base. I had some wonderful professors, and it was great for them to be able to just allow me to use that information for my work, because I actually got to write some grants for people while I was in a grant writing class, and got to where we started the grant at the beginning and got to apply for it and got awarded the grant for the nonprofits that I was working with. And so it was awesome, because it took what I was learning in the classroom, got a professor to look it over and tell me, yeah, it looks good, and then we threw it and got it approved. So it was pretty cool for that. I just like the ideal of just coming and letting you understand that this degree is one of those ones. I'm a non-traditional student, started off with international business being that thing that I thought was going to be my life. And so I was actually working for Pier 1 Imports, and I was a buyer at Pier 1 Imports. If you ever watch Parks and Rec, and if you ever watch Parks and Recreation, and when they're inside the office, they're standing by the front of the desk where they're looking out towards the customer. There's a little plant there that has it's a little small tent plot, and it's just a little plant. That's my plant. I designed that, and so I'm very glad I can say that's my claim to fame. And if you watch the Today Show, you'll see some of my plants that I designed on there too. So it was real fun for me to have that. But I realized that I didn't want to do international business. I wanted to be able to change the community where I was at. I realized I had a big epiphany in 2006, and it helped me to want to start a ministry for people that had criminal backgrounds to get back to work. And so I was able to work with them and I knew the operational side from when I started schooling here. So it was really cool to put that, when I graduated, I was actually running the ministry when I graduated in 2011. So it was really cool, because I was like, wow, this is awesome. It's something like the degree, we just apply it to what we need to do. And so my whole purpose of being here is just to be an encourager to you, because whatever reason you're here for, whatever reason you're doing the degree, it doesn't matter what your reason is. Find that reason and stick to it, because I guarantee you we all have different reasons. But the whole purpose of this degree is it reminds you that your value and your worth is not going to be defined by the employer or the employment you have. It's defined by what you're getting right now. You're really going to be adding to a lot of the value you have. So as an encourager, my whole purpose is just to remind you have the value, you have that worth. And when I talk to job seekers, I just tell them, your purpose isn't to make me believe that you are the right person for the job. Your purpose is just to share with me your knowledge. And when you share your knowledge with me, then I can develop my belief off the knowledge you have. So when you say, I've been schooled in how to run a nonprofit, I've been schooled on how to change the community, I've been schooled on this, it helps them to know the knowledge of what you have learned, and then they can develop their belief that you're the right person for the job. So anytime I create my resume always focuses towards a job, and it'll always say that the way I have mine set up is I have a lot of my community events and community awards that are on my resume, because that's what I go towards. When I get jobs, I'm going into the community. So my whole purpose is to let them know when I go to a place, I'm not there just to show up to work. I'm there to actually make a change and make a difference. And so I have a lot of awards from the community organizations that I work with, and it's not something where I'm just like, ooh, wow, look how awesome I am. It's something really where, look at the work that has been able to help change the community. And that's all I want to do, is just change the community and make it to a place where my kids who are about to go start college, I want them to be at a place where they can know that they can make that change. So it's just, I'm here just to remind you of the value and the work you have. And so I'm very thankful to be here, because it's one of the chances that as you're getting ready to work on your degree, just continue with it. Just learn as much as you can on it, because I guarantee you it will be applied to whatever it is you want to do.
What would you say?
For you, what I would tell you is you have no bad habits that I have to knock off of you if I ever brought you into my place. So you're at that point where you've been learning, you have that mindset right now, and you have that great foundation that you have the ability to get in there, but you're going to have to learn the business. And in learning that business, I don't have to knock any bad habits off you. I don't have to make, well, this is how we did it before, Jason, so that's how I want to do it now. No, I don't have to worry about that with you. I know that you'll be able to say, hey, look, I'm a sponge. I want to be able to do it the way you do it, because as you frame it up to the employer, whatever employer you're working with, frame it up to them with the ideal of, it's great because I'm building up on this, and you're a part of that foundation that's going to be able to just, you're going to be the person that's going to be able to take advantage of what I just laid down that foundation for. Well, I'm a Coast Guard veteran. I'm a veteran of the Coast Guard, and that's one of the things I always tell people that you want to put down, that I'm a U.S. veteran looking for work, because regardless of where you go to, that's a different type of discipline in itself. That you're a different type of worker from the average person, and it's true. And so you want to make sure that you talk about it, but you also want to talk about the fact that you're acclimated to the civilian world. And so as you're looking in there, you're saying, this is my foundation, and it's great because Uncle Sam has invested in me. It's great because I've taken the investment and gone to UNT and gotten this great education, and now you can just tell me what it is that's going to make you successful, and I'll contribute to you with the experience and the information I have. And what you want to do is you want to take those key things that you know you're going to need for that behavior side of it, and say, you know what, I'm very good at analyzing. I'm very good at kind of asking questions to get the information I need. I'm very good at listening and just kind of observing for quality control, not just for the fact that I want to look at things, but for the fact that there's quality control in it. And so when you have someone that has a keen eye, it's easy to want to say, well, you don't have the experience, but the truth is you do. You can't do what you did in the Navy without that experience. And so that's where you want to just focus on those, just frame it up like that.
Some of my best friends are veterans, Marines and Air Force and Army. And there's countless veteran-centered organizations in Metroplex that you could be able to go into while you're getting your education and everything, and helping build up that resume on a professional level and getting integrated into there. And they are instrumental in helping the transition and in helping for your development.
Right.
So that could also be another option for you to start developing that professional credibility while you're developing your academic credibility at the same time. But for me, I was already employed, so I didn't transition organizations. I'm not a veteran. I've been doing this 20 years as a firefighter. The two things that I find are, you want to find your passion and stick with it, but it's also relationship based. If you can go out and find a connection, a mentor, or whatever, help you focus in on your passion, and they will also be able to help you narrow down your options to something that you really want to do. And at the same time, though, you have to be willing to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And say, you know what, this isn't exactly what I want, but it's within an organization that does what I want to do.
Right.
And, so you might be, going into HR, or you might be going to do something that's just not exactly what you want to do, but you're inside that organization now. And then you can build your skills and your credentials and everything and get to that position that you really want to be at.
There are 380s that I tell people about whenever it comes to your job search. 380s. I'm a big stat guy, Department of Labor. I deal with a lot of numbers. But there are 380s you need to keep in mind when you're job searching. And the first 80 is 80% of people out there who are working, Department of Labor says don't like their job. So be one of those 20% that love your job. So you find that passion, like Chris talks about, you find that passion and you love your job. And then the second 80 is go volunteer someplace, because 80% of employers out there will take your volunteer time and consider that as work experience. Because if you're not getting paid to do something and learn something, and you're still doing it and helping someone be successful, why wouldn't I expect you to transition that into the workplace when I start paying you? So that's the second 80 I like to talk to people about, because volunteerism is real big. Because a lot of nonprofits out there, they need the help. So why not go learn how to do something on a volunteer basis and build up your experience like that? And then the third 80 is going to be 80% or higher of the jobs that are out there are not posted on any job board anywhere. They're based off of the fact that I know someone, maybe I tell Rachel, go see Gina and tell her I sent you down there. She was looking for an advisor, or she was looking for someone to come in and help counsel somebody. So Gina may never have posted a job. So she knows me as a person, and she knows the people I would send to her. And so that networking thing is really important, because a lot of the jobs that are out there are not posted anywhere. And so those are the 380s. Those are based off the Department of Labor. Because the Department of Labor is saying that it's probably higher. It's probably closer to 90 as far as the jobs that are out there. So whatever job boards you look at when you look for work, imagine that there's going to be 4 times that you never see. When I was with the workforce in 2010, they actually created a job for me because of the work that I had already done in different areas. And it was funny, because I was a career counselor, and I was thinking of people that I case managed and how I could put them to work. And my future boss came to me and goes, "What about you? Have you thought about applying for that job?" I was like, "No, I got a job." And she's like, "Well, we want you to be in this job." So that's the kind of thing that because of the work I'd already done with her, and like you said, cross-trained with her and different things that she did, it helped me to open a door that nobody else actually was allowed to go through. It's just my door. And you're going to find that. You're going to find people that are going to fall in love with you and be like, "Hey, how can I get your resume to the guy that needs to hire you?" And that's what you want to do. So,
If I can just jump in for just 1 second, because I have to get on my career advisor soapbox for a second. So a lot of times with the BAAS degree, people are coming in and asking me, what do I qualify for and what can I apply for? And I usually say it's kind of a double-edged sword, because you're going to have a ton of options. You qualify, and you can qualify for everything and anything that you want. It's all about how you can market yourself on your resume and the previous experience that you have that you can bring to that position. But then it's also the fact that you qualify for everything, and then that's when you start getting overwhelmed, and that's when you start thinking, well, what do I want to do, and what can I do, and what should I do, and all those kinds of things. And then in that case, having that mentor and having that networking contact is actually going to help a lot as well, because you can talk that out with them, and they can kind of hopefully guide you in the right direction. LinkedIn is a really, really great resource. If you're not on LinkedIn, I highly, highly recommend that you get on LinkedIn. It is a social media website, but it should be used for very professional purposes. You're not going to be, hopefully not seeing pictures of like people's dinner and stuff like that. That's actually how I found our panelists this evening. So it's a really great resource to start that networking process, especially for those people who are a little bit shy and don't necessarily know how to go up to somebody at an event and actually say, "Hey, this is me and this is my degree." So LinkedIn is a great way to start that. And then also, like Rachel was saying, and like I was just saying, It's all about how you format your resume and how you can show and prove that you qualify for the positions that you're applying for. A lot of times you can use, for the skills resume that she was saying that she had, you can use experience from your volunteer experience, from student organizations, even from your coursework. That's kind of a way that you can format your resume so that you can once again prove that you qualify for those positions. So if you need help with any of those things, call the Career Center and make an appointment with me. That's my plug. And that is, so we'll keep going because I think all of this is really great, and I love having panels because you guys say everything that I usually say, and then I just don't have to say it.
Well, and that's the thing with the grants that I work with. A lot of grants you'll find out or have a stipulation that say that they want just a degreed individual in there because if the government's going to be spending money on anything, they want to make sure someone's educated when they spend it. So when I got to this position, it was one of the things that I was able to show them the community development and the nonprofit management on my side from the degree itself. Being able to talk like that and to use the fact that I understand community stakeholders. I understand the need to be able to do public relations in the community in a way that kind of draws people in, but also gets us out there in a very low-cost way. And so it's one of those things that my recruiting and my experience and everything kind of coupled with my degree. I didn't need my master's. I'm one of the people that I tell you, I'm done with school. I really don't want to go on further. I love school. My wife's in school, and I actually take some classes with her just to kind of sit with her at the computer, be able to do things with her. But my schooling, as far as wanting to go and further it, I'm very thankful for what I got here. And it's one of those things that it really does work for me to talk about my degree. And like Gina said, you just want to be able to use those words when you're talking to the employer. For me, when I was talking to the workforce, I understand grant management. I understand the big picture. That's what I loved about it. I understand the big picture now, but I also understand the frontline people that work those grants. So I'm able to work both ends now because I have this experience, but I have the degree to go with it.
Thank you.
Something else on my soapbox, that's usually something that I usually recommend is to actually sit down and either write out or type out exactly what you would say. Okay, if somebody asks me what is my BAAS degree, or if somebody asks me what is it that I want to do with this degree or how I qualify for it, actually write out what you would say. And then it's almost like rehearsing your lines for a play or something, or knowing the answers to a test before you go into it, because the more you practice it, and then you're going to feel more confident that way, and then at least if you're thinking about it beforehand, then you know exactly what you want to say and how you want to say it to help you sound professional and confident, and that's just going to help you in the end. Rachel actually said it earlier because some people are like, how do I explain my BAAS degree? And she said it very nicely, how you have lots of strengths, you have skills and strengths in several different areas, and you're able to combine all of those into one actual degree and get a bachelor's degree based on all of those skills and strengths. So something like that is something that you can come up with ahead of time, is something that would be beneficial for you to know.
It's also important to change your resume and target it for each individual job. I know that takes a lot of time. It does. But that way you can highlight, if I'm looking for a job in the nonprofit field, I'm gonna put that first. I'm not gonna put recreation management, it's like, they're like, so what? So it's important to put on top that they're gonna see first what's more in line with what you're looking for.
The average employer will spend about 7 seconds on your resume. Because
7 seconds.
Because they have fine-tuned their search, they know what they're looking for. So when they get your resume, and like Chris said, if it's the actual person looking, they are scanning for certain things already, and after 7 seconds, if they don't see it, they just toss it aside.
So like what Rachel just said, to tailor each resume that you submit to the job posting, so you literally take the job posting and you put the keywords from the job posting into your resume. Because if it is an applicant tracking system that is going to be reading your resume, which is just those systems that you upload your resume into, if it's one of those systems, if it doesn't find those keywords, then it's just going to kick out your resume. So it does take a little bit of time, but if you can submit a quality resume over just shooting 90 resumes out on monster.com in 30 seconds, then that's actually what's going to get you an interview quicker, because not only will the system see it, but then the person who actually gets to see your resume will see that you have exactly what they're looking for.
A lot of companies do use the applicant tracking system, right? So that if I do network with you and I do refer you to somebody, you're eventually going to have to fill out the application.
You still be put in the system.
No, and you're going to be in the system, and if I look at the applicant tracking system, because there is a grade that they put onto it, if you've never seen it, Google it and see what the applicant tracking system actually looks like. But what it does is, it gives you like 15 keywords you've missed, or 5 partial keywords, or and partial keywords means that if in my job description I say I'm looking for a development specialist to come and combine my community events with such and such, then guess what needs to be on your resume? That exact phrasing. Because then as they look at your resume, if they see a low score, even though I referred you into somebody, they see a low score, they're going to be like, are you sure you want to bring that person in? Because according to our tracking system, they don't really match this job. You're going to eventually have to fill out the application. So even though you're networked in there, you're still going to have to be able to sell yourself on a resume and an application. And so what I tell people is make sure that you understand how the applicant tracking systems work, because more and more people are going to them. And so the employers I work with, they have about 400 people applying for a job. They probably only see about 10 resumes at the best. Probably one of the coolest interviews I had was with the owner of a company. And he was hardcore machinist, spent 50 years in a machinist shop. The only thing he knew was how to be a machinist. But he started a nonprofit to help get people into Lockheed Martin so that he could springboard people who were trained, and he wanted the community to pay for it. And so when I met with him, he's like, what is a BAAS? You know, because he's a machinist. He doesn't know anything. He just knew machine work. And so I said, what's cool about my degree is I know the job you want me to do is not just one thing. And I know it's not just 2 things. I know it's not just 3 things. I know you have a whole bunch of things you'd like for me to do in this as I manage this program. And guess what? The foundation I have came from my degree. And it gives me a chance I have the focus over here on nonprofit management. I'm able to do community development the right way. I know the different places to go. And so even though you want me to do this job is not just one thing. And he was like, I never thought about that. And I was like, you need to understand that this degree is not just something that's going to help me to do this program management. It's going to help your company overall by what I do through this program management.
Great, thank you. If I can piggyback, I don't have an exact percentage, but I think it's a fairly high percentage of people that have a degree in something aren't using their degree in their career.
Yeah.
There are people in HR who have anthropology degrees, and there are people working in financial companies who have psychology degrees, so it really doesn't always matter what you get your degree in. It's the skills and experience that you can bring to the table that you can show on your resume.
That's why I think BAAS is great. It's better than just saying, oh, I have an English degree. It's like, no, these are the areas of concentrations I have that make me a strong candidate. I know I didn't really make it very clear. I made it sound like, oh, I just got this job as an academic advisor. That is not the case at all, you guys. I graduated in August 2011, and I actually didn't start job searching until after I graduated. That's a mistake. You definitely want to start before. I didn't realize it was going to take months on end to send out resumes and meet people and talk to people. It was a lot more time than I thought it was, and that was kind of a scary place for me to be. So I ended up getting jobs that didn't even require a bachelor's. They were like, oh, what, BAAS, who cares? Yeah, you're hired, I worked at the Michael's Arts and Crafts. I worked as a vet tech. I don't know anything about animals. So they were like, oh yeah, you're great, cool. And I worked for my mom's company as well, so I was juggling 3 part-time jobs and trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, and if what I learned in college, the nonprofit, if that's really where I wanted to go. And that gave me some time to first of all learn new things I had never learned before. Being in a sort of a medical type situation, I hadn't experienced that. Working at Michael's Arts and Crafts. I'd never worked at a store place before. Hard to believe. So yeah, just learning how to run a cash register, simple skills like that were really helpful in that time that I spent trying to find what I really wanted to do. But upon reflection, I learned that what I really liked about my knowledge and experience that I gained from college was not necessarily what I learned in my degree, but what I did outside of that. So I worked for the university as an orientation leader, as an RA, you know, in the residence halls, and I learned that I really liked higher education. I liked working with students, and so that's how I wanted to spend, you know, the knowledge that I had and my experiences to get the job I have now. I also want to encourage you guys to be persistent with the job you want. That's how I have the job I have now. I interviewed 3 times for it because I really wanted to get my foot in the door in higher education, and I knew the man who was hiring, and I was like, oh man, this is my way in. I'm gonna do this. And he was like, you know, we really like you, but you know, we're waiting. The HR process is ridiculous, you guys. He was like, if you could hold on, like, we have a place for you, kind of, and I was like, you know, that would be really great. So, you know, I stayed in those jobs that were kind of keeping me afloat, and was realizing I don't like picking up dog poop, you know, like I am done with this, you know, I'm ready to go into higher education. And my plan was to get my master's in higher education. If you work at the university, you actually get a really significant discount on on school. So
You can list your Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences. Underneath that, you can put your concentrations. You also want to put the month and year that you're going to be graduating. University of North Texas, Denton, Texas. If you have a good GPA and you want to put that on there, you can do that. If you're applying for something that your concentrations don't matter and you're like, they don't care about that, you can leave those off completely. So there's definitely a few different ways that you can organize it, but you don't want to put an explanation of what the BAAS degree is on your resume. That's something that you need to have practiced in your head and have ready to actually tell somebody either in a 90-second commercial or in an interview.
Okay.
Put it in your LinkedIn. The biggest thing is taking it from the military and making it civilian. So we got a chief.
PO5.
Okay.
staff sergeant.
Staff sergeant. Well, there was one more. Who? Oh, okay.
Senior airman.
Senior airman. Okay. So we got enlisted in non-coms. The biggest deal is to be able to go, all right, what did I do in my position? Conflict management, interpersonal skills, leadership abilities, all that stuff. Those are all bullet points that you want to be able to put in somewhere to help build that. And then your BAAS degree, with whatever concentrations you're going with, come in, and those all tie together.
I see what you're saying, okay.
And so, you know, you don't want to put, you know, I led a squad into combat and killed a bunch of people.
Well, you could.
But what did you do on in civilian terminology that contributed to that, that translates into that, to help build your leadership skills and whatever else that you need to be looking for. I have my work history, and I have my education, and I have bullet points for all my certificates and various skills. And when, and it's, like I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years, so it's a 2-pager. And it's something that I have to go in there and tweak for whatever it is, and the higher I get within the leadership of the organization, the more tweaking it's going to have to take place. But the biggest thing is you want to catch their eye, or catch the machine's eye, so you can get your foot in the door to have a conversation. And when you have that conversation, you want to be able to take that piece of paper and be able to have an intelligent conversation with the guy or the woman that is doing the interview or you're having this discussion with, and being able to tie all that stuff together, all your leadership, you know, your how do your awards and citations transition into the civilian world, you know, how does this all bring value to the organization that you want to be working for?
A really great resource that may help you with writing your resume, specifically with getting civilian terms for the military jargon. If you go to onetonline.org, They actually have a military crosswalk where you can actually put in your MOD or whichever one, the MOS, whichever branch you're in, and it will come up with the equivalent occupational title for what you were doing in the military and give you a list of bullet points that you can use for your resume. So that might be able to help you just a little bit with transferring those skills into civilian terms that the layman can understand.
Turning government alphabet soup into words.
Exactly. Exactly.
And one of the things to remember when you're developing your resume is consistency is what I'm going to notice whenever I'm looking at it as an employer. So if you say in a summary or career statement that says that I'm going to use my experience in logistics and warehouse management and supervision, and you have all of this in a statement, and then I see in your schooling you have a diversified degree, and then I see in your bullet points for your last job or your last jobs that you have those same words that you're using for that, I can see how you developed your skill set that you're trying to portray to me. So that's what you want to be consistent in what you're talking about.
Encouraging that?
Right, because if I tell you that I'm something, I have an award here for community service. Down here, I do a lot of community involvement. I did a lot of community volunteerism on the back of my degree. You see the consistency and why someone would want to bring me into the organization to help get me out to the community, because every time I did, it was successful and it showed development for that organization. So you want to develop that consistency, because what you did in the military, there was something that you did that, like she said, it translates into the civilian world, but the truth is you were consistent in how you did it. And you were trained to be consistent. What you're learning right now is you're learning a consistency on how to use your discipline in the workforce. And as you develop these skill sets, it's going to be that consistency on the fact that you're using them. I'm not going to learn how to speak in one class in communications and then not use it for the next 4 years and then expect to go be a speaker. I'm going to have to develop that somewhere. And so as you lay your foundation down again, you want to make sure you're having consistent use of that skill set. And that's free. I won't charge off with that. For every application you fill out, you're always going to have a section that says additional skill set or additional information. That's where you want to kind of list that information. Okay. Because if you're not able to put it on your academic side, you do want to put down with the concentration of this, and this. Okay. Because but you're always going to have that on any application. But you want to be able to tie it into your degree. So say, while at UNT, I have this concentration, and you put that in additional, and because you have that field that says additional skill set or additional whatever, that's where you want to try to use that information for it. And then when you get to talking about it, this is one thing you really have to do is you prepare for your interviews, just in case y'all didn't know. Look at yourself in the mirror and realize that y'all make some funny faces, in case y'all didn't know before, okay? And so if you can't say your Bachelor of Applied Arts and Science without having to stumble that you said that, then look in the mirror and try to get it to where you're clear when you say it. Because the confidence they have in your degree is going to be based off of the confidence you give to them. So you can't sell them what you don't have. So as you look and you go, would you like my BA? I don't know, because you don't know if you want it. So you have to be able to say it. Look in that mirror and do that with every question. Because there's one of the things that we teach is resolution. You have to be able to resolve those things that you really feel uncomfortable with. Like I was fired from a job in 2007. I was laid off. And in my mind, how could you keep everybody else and not me? Well, in order for me to move to my next job, I had to let go of that job. I had to resolve that I'm not there anymore. Because when I talked about them at first, I would be upset that I talked about them. And my wife says, do you realize you make a face when you talk about them? And I was like, yeah, and I do it on purpose. So that's where you really have to resolve it. And so same thing with your degree. Resolve the fact that this is going to be something that you're going to have confidence as you share that. Because your confidence is going to, if I can ask you a question about what your degree is and you answer it confidently, do you really think I have a follow-up to it? There's nothing really I'm going to ask about it. But if you fumble with it, I'm going to be like, well, let's get into this degree plan, Ellen, and really try to tear you apart. Because as an HR person, my desire in HR is to find the perfect fit for the company. And the perfect fit, I know, I talked to an employer the other day and he says, I'm looking for the perfect candidate. I go, are you the perfect company? Because why would a perfect candidate go to an imperfect company? So you need to understand your imperfection too. But you have to be able to talk about that, talk about yourself in a way that's going to be like, you know what? I am the right person for this job. And the reason I know that is because I know I'm the right person for the job. And so you have to know it before I'll ever know it as an HR person.
I liked your question. We don't fit into the box.
Yeah.
You know? But oftentimes I describe concentrations as miniature minors. I think people understand minors as a term better than concentrations. And so I would probably, in that situation, I would fit a little and say, yeah, my minor in whichever one is most applicable to that job. And then in the additional note section, say, you know, maybe explain it a little bit more in depth. That way you're not just not putting anything, you know, you're not leaving it blank.
A suggestion that I could give to anybody too, if you are wanting to get into something super specific, or if you're just like, I just do not feel like I have the professional experience to do well in this field, but I really want to do it, you could also look into internships. Whether paid or unpaid, if you're willing to take unpaid, unfortunately that sometimes happens, that's absolutely relevant professional experience that you can put on your resume that will get you that experience that you're looking for, will get you that practice that you're looking for. And nobody expects interns to be perfect, because interns aren't perfect, because that's what they're there for, right? They're there to learn. So that would be a great alternative, as well as what Jason was saying earlier. If you could volunteer your time somewhere, then that would be also a great way to learn something. And then also another thing, if you can find a professional who's in the field that's doing what you want to do, you could shadow them. And you could just go spend a day with them and just go see what they do and how they do it. And then you could actually really decide, is this something that I actually want to do? And you could actually decide to love it or decide to hate it. So that could be another way to work through those worries. Professionalism does not come with your first hour on the job.
Right.
You know, I'm 10 years into my career and I still I'm like, oh, I should be more professional right now. You know, like it just comes with practice, and you don't get that unless you actually get out there and get your feet wet and get over that learning curve, and then you're going to be just fine.
The top 2 reasons why people are losing jobs right now, just so y'all know, is people aren't showing up and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So if you are showing up and doing what you're supposed to do, this is a good place to practice it, because it's one of those things that it translates into job success at BAAS. And it's crazy to me that people don't show up when they're supposed to show up, or don't do what they're supposed to do. But that's the thing, is you're learning a discipline right now. And so as you're learning, when you get to the job, you start learning what they want you to do the way they want you to do it. And you're the one that's going to be successful. And don't measure yourself against the people that aren't being successful. Measure yourself about what success is for that company.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you attending. And please call the Career Center and make an appointment with me if you need to. So thank you again for coming. Have a great evening, and we'll be here with questions.
Thank you.